Headlines for this week news at Islamic Finance. International Advisory Panel discusses Islamic finance innovations. Australia's Islamic finance industry further expands. Qatar buys fashion house Valentino. Assalamu alaikum and a very good day to viewers of Capital TV's Islamic Finance program, the only Islamic finance program in the mainstream media. I am Shabana Mahmudul Hassan, bringing you the latest development and updates in the Islamic finance world, only at Islamic Finance at the Capital. International Advisory Panel discusses Islamic finance innovation. It has been reported that developments and initiatives in innovative Islamic finance and capacity utilization is one of the key topics at the 8th World Islamic Economic Forum International Advisory Panel IAP biannual meeting. The meeting attended by industry experts, business leaders from the financial and banking sectors, as well as thought leaders of the OIC-related organizations also discussed on ways to propel the Asian region into an investment-based and innovation-led economy. We are pleased that the IAP brings together the elites of the international investment community. Many significant issues have been discussed, including the approaches to improving bilateral trade between Malaysia and India, said Tun Musa Hitam, chairman of the World Islamic Economic Forum WIEF Foundation. Speaking to Bernama, he said the meeting also touched on Malaysia's macroeconomic situation in the context of the growing Asian market and measures taken by the Malaysian government to improve the country's attractiveness as an investment destination. Over the years, the appointed members and representatives have provided useful counsel and opinions, Musa said, adding their input have been used to draw up vital framework and concrete initiatives for the development of the Asian economy. This time, the IAP meeting saw substantial participating panel, representatives and invitees to enable the discussions to delve deeply into relevant meeting agenda. During the meeting, the IAP members were expected to provide strategic input and intellectual content for the 8th WIEF, which will be held from December 4 to 6 at the Persada Johor International Convention Centre in Johor, Malaysia. Themed Changing Trends, New Opportunities, the forum is a joint collaboration between the WIEF Foundation and Johor State Government, with the strong support of the Malaysian government. New Islamic banking opportunities in Morocco. Morocco's new banking laws are expected to facilitate the use of Islamic finance in the country and encourage a wave of new investment and business. A relative latecomer to the field, Morocco's banking laws do not currently allow Islamic banking institutions, though in 2007 the government permitted conventional banks to offer Islamic financial products. However, the new regulations that are to be approved by Parliament will change the course of Islamic banking in the country. Moroccan authorities are expected to soon allow local banks to convert to Islamic financial institutions and invite foreign Islamic banks to set up branches in the country. Experts believe this is in a bid to speed up Morocco's economic development and establish a regional finance hub in Casablanca. Brunei an Islamic financial hub. Brunei has long identified the Islamic finance as a sector that can be developed to its advantage, both to serve the banking needs of its domestic economy and as an avenue for economic development at the international level. To achieve these objectives, however, it will need to speed up investments in human resources. Having first launched the Islamic finance option more than 20 years ago, Sharia-compliant banking now accounts to around 40% of the local market, a figure some experts believe will rise to 60% by 2017. Though Brunei Darussalam has made significant strides towards developing itself as a strong Islamic finance center, experts identified a number of key areas the Sultanate needs to expand and improve upon if it is to achieve its goals. One of the foremost requirements was for Brunei to produce more Sharia experts, according to Muhammad Akram Laudin, the Executive Director of the Malaysia-based International Sharia Research Academy for Islamic Finance, while attending the International Conference on Islamic Finance in Bandar Seri Begawan held in mid-May. Another development that should boost Islamic finance was the announcement by Bank Islam Brunei Darussalam in mid-April that it would be sponsoring a chair of Islamic Banking and Finance, Leadership and Entrepreneurship at the University Brunei Darussalam Faculty of Business, Economics and Policy Studies. Australia Islamic finance industry further expands. Australia is making headway in implementing the ethical system of Islamic finance and has the chance of getting a share of the booming Islamic finance industry. An Australian firm is planning to launch a Sharia-compliant fund to enable Muslims to save for retirement. We see significant pent-up demand, Talal Yassin, the managing director of the Australian fund manager Crescent Wealth, told Reuters. Speaking earlier in a statement, Yassin said the first Islamic pension fund would be launched by December. He added that Crescent Wealth hoped to build the fund to between $4 billion and $6 billion in 5 years. The fund will also allocate money to Australian and international equities and cash management products. Yassin said Crescent planned to invest in property assets on Australia's east coast as well as in real estate investment trusts. Steady cash flows from property investments are attractive to a lot of investors, especially in the Sharia space, he said. The pension fund will initially target domestic investors, but will be open to international ones. Yassin said his fund could also appeal to conservative non-Muslim investors. Muslims who have been in Australia for more than 200 years make up 1.7% of its 20 million population. Mortgage law to spur Islamic finance in Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia's approval of a landmark mortgage law last week after a delay of more than 3 years will give rise to Islamic funding and tackle some of the challenges in the real estate sector in the kingdom, National Commercial Bank (NCB) said. Although all income segments will be positively impacted from the enactment of a mortgage law, those within the affluent segment will have greater freedom to either finance the construction of their own houses or to invest in the housing sector. In their present lending system, banks use various forms of financing but prefer the Ijara scheme due to the lack of a mortgage law, it said in a study. The mortgage law would also allow for greater use of Islamic finance schemes within mortgage lending such as Murabaha, which would allow the buyer to retain ownership of an asset, said the study. The passing of the mortgage law is expected to help convince individuals and entities to enter the housing market in the country. However, the law clearly addresses solutions to the pent-up demand for housing by the middle to high income segment, but does not address the inherent supply shortage of affordable housing. Additionally, until precedent has been set, the enforcement and full applicability of the law will be unknown. Qatar buys fashion house Valentino. A Qatari investment group has agreed to buy Italian fashion house Valentino for an undisclosed amount, private equity firm Permira said on Thursday. Mehula for Investments SPC, an investment vehicle backed by a major private investor group from Qatar, has agreed to acquire Valentino Fashion Group SPA, said Permira, which has a controlling interest in the group. The sale and purchase agreement between Mehula and Red and Black, a company indirectly controlled by the Permira funds in partnership with the Marzotto family, was signed on 11th July 2012. Permira did not disclose the identity of the Qatari bidder nor the value of the deal. Valentino makes fashion clothes and accessories. However, British media recently reported that Qatar's royal family was in advanced talks to buy the fashion label for about 550 to 600 million pounds. Thank you very much. That is all from me, Shabana, for the Islamic Finance News. Now I'll pass on to Amarul for the interview segment.
Assalamualaikum. Welcome to this episode of Islamic Finance at the Capital. With us today is the CEO of As-Salihin Trustee Berhad, Mr. Abdul Aziz Peru Muhammad. Welcome to Islamic Finance. So in other words, if there is no will, the assets
will remain frozen
for an indefinite period until all parties can sit together